All right, so we're gonna make our slaw for our um, tacos. And the very first thing we're gonna do is set up our stations. So we basically have a trash bin and a working bin. So got our little trash bin. This is where our stuff's going to go. This is where we're gonna put our trash. So we'll start off with the onion. We're gonna julienne about a quarter of an onion. We're just gonna take off that edge, cut it in half, that to the side. Chili, purple this just a little bit. There we go. We're just going to peel this guy off. Again, we're just trying to keep our cutting board clean. We don't want any of all the stuff that we don't want. Now, all we're going to do is go around in a radial after we took off the tops and ends. So a little bit so we can see better. And all I'm going to do is follow this around so it's up. I want to go as thin as possible. That's about all we need. All that right on in there. Next, we're going to do some julienne carrots. So I'm going to take off the top. We don't have to peel because how we're going to do this actually takes off those skins. Cut down like that. I'm going to square this guy off. Again, pinch grip your knife. Carrots are hard. They will wiggle your knife out if you start doing your finger like this. And from here, I just want to take thin sticks. Then get rid of all the stuff we don't need. Just taking off some of that peel. Now we can stack some of these guys up and we'll do it in a couple runs. Make sure that's nice and up. And just as thinly as possible, we're just coming down and julienning these guys. Take your time. You can have multiple people work on this at the same time. But this is also to kind of enhance that carrot flavor that's already in our tortilla. Don't make them too big, and that's probably about enough. Next, we're going to do some green cabbage. So first thing we're going to do is take off a couple of the outer leaves just to make sure that if they got dirt or anything on them, kind of holds that bottle stuff together. We'll take off the first two leaves. You notice how that water beads up. That's because of the waxy coating that these leaves naturally have. All right, so we're going to cut this guy in half. We're going to cut it in half again. I'm just going to take off about a third of this last one. It's about all I need. The rest of it can go to other people in the class. We're going to take out that core. Now all I'm going to do is kind of follow this around and just as thinly as possible. We're just shredding that cabbage. stop a little early. So that's probably about a cup of cabbage. Again, just want to make sure that everything is nice and clean every time we move to something else. So I'm just wiping down. Keep your station nice and clean as you work. Next, we're going to do our red onion, or sorry, red cabbage, not onion. Same thing, we're going to peel off some of these outer leaves. Take off this bottom, it's just a little bit extra. Cut in half. This is just to add a little bit of sweetness and a little bit more color. Same thing, cut in half again. And I'm probably going to just cut off about a quarter of this guy, about like that. If the core was still in there, I cut around it. We can cut that, but then we're just going to do the same thing, just as thinly as possible. You want to do this as thinly as possible. Notice how my finger is back. I don't have to worry about cutting it. There's our red cabbage. The rest of it goes in here. All right. Now this guy, the nice, beautiful slaw, but the one thing is that this will not remain crispy if we hold it like this. So we actually want to bring out some of the moisture so we can squeeze it out. So we're going to take a nice pinch of salt. That's a three-fingered pinch, and I mean a fair amount of salt. And all we're going to do is kind of press that in. We're just trying to get that into those cell walls and everything. You'll notice this actually doesn't make as much slaw as you think it would, because we're not going to keep it nice and fluffy. We're trying to condense that flavor, so we're going to draw out a bunch of moisture. All right. We're going to let that set. We're going to clean up, and we'll finish this off. All right, so we've let it sit for about 5 or so minutes, about 5, 10, anywhere up to like 20 minutes is good. It's just pulling out a lot of that moisture. It's breaking down some of those cell walls. Now, all we're going to do is we're going to take it, just squeeze it as hard as you can, and you'll see all that liquid that comes out. Just give it a good squeeze. I'm just going to do that to all of it. That's all liquid that is kind of holding back the flavor of all those nice vegetables. And I know it's kind of counterintuitive, but I promise this will actually almost be crispier. Finish off just the last bit. All right. There's our lovely slaw. Throw the liquid away. Now, just to finish this guy off, we want it kind of to marry with some cilantro. So I'm going to clean off my gloves real quick, get some new gloves. And I want to have this in there as it sits just because I want it, those aromatics of the coriander or cilantro to really get through. So I'm just going to kind of look through, make sure there's no, like you can see the little bad leaf here. Just kind of pull that guy out. And I just want the leaf parts. So I'm just going to kind of pull those off. We're going to hold on to the stems because we're actually going to use those for our marinade for our chicken. So do not throw away your stems. You'll see those in the next video. Bad ones. Yeah, just get rid of any of those bad guys. You only want the best. These little bits of quality are what really separate out cooking. Couple leaves on isn't going to hurt anyone. Let's see, that was about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, about 11 or so stems of cilantro. So we'll set these guys aside for later. This guy we're just going to give a good rough chop to. Make sure this is more of a slicing motion. We don't really want to bruise the veggies. We want to make sure that they are just smaller and open, and that'll keep their green. That, just going to add that on in here. Then we're going to add a half teaspoon of rice wine vinegar. Just a little bit, just add a little bit of acid in there. Just a drizzle of oil. Give it a little bit of a shine. And a small pinch of sugar. I mean, a very, very small pinch. Now we're going to mix this guy around. That is our beautiful, beautiful slaw. So we'll package that up and hold it for when we make tacos. Let all of those flavors kind of marry together. We'll clean up and go on to chicken.